Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the?
Welcome back to my channel. This is a 2026 Luzz Glider. Just came out last week. I've had about 6 to 8 hours of total play of it. While I give you guys my review, my opinion on the glider here, I am going to have footage being shown to my very last session with the paddle. Pretty much the majority of the video here, so you can always look at that, listen to me as I speak, and I'll let you guys know what I think about this paddle. So before I get started, I want to say a few things here. I've had a lot of the Luzz paddles, right? I have the Tornado, I've had the Blade 2, I have the Cannon. I haven't made videos on those other ones, and partially because I'm not really a review channel for the most part. I do review paddles, but I try to be somewhat selective in that, hey, this paddle either has to be super special or it's a paddle that I will definitely be maining. It's a little bit different with the Blade 2, you know, weirdly enough, because it is a Gen 3 construction, right? So it's not a foam paddle, which I've been really exclusively using for the most part, I would say for the better part of the last 8-9 months, let's say, right? Elephant in the room here, the grit is supposed to be better, right? We were told that there's some new aerial grit, they call it. You know, when I received the paddle brand new, if you ran your hands through it, the grittiness, there was grit. It did feel just kind of like typical peel ply grit, nothing special about it. Within 10 minutes of me just hitting this paddle against the wall in my garage, I noticed that there was loss of grit happening. So instantly I was like, there's no way that this durable grit is gonna last. This one lost grit just hitting at the wall for 10 minutes. And if you guys haven't seen the video from John Q actually testing the grit of the Blade 2 after using it with his ball cannon, I mean, this paddle lost like 25% of its grit after the experiment was over. It was worse than some regular peel ply grits out there. I mean, that was crazy. I'm not even surprised though, because I would say that matches my experience on Court 2. The very first session I had with this paddle, I can tell the little extra bite that I was getting on my drops. I spit a lot on my forehand drops for it, and whenever I use a brand new paddle that has brand new grit, I always know that those drops of mine are always a tiny bit sharper than usual. I can go for a bit more aggressive spots with it when I have that extra grit. So I knew I had that right away, but then by the end of that session, if not the next session, I could tell I could no longer go for those same exact drops. They were not landing as sharply as they were the first time around, which was telling me that I was losing that initial massive grit, which was the case. Putting that aside, of no grit on it, I really enjoy the power pop profile of this paddle here. And grit aside again, because I actually, all my paddles, by the way, none of them have durable grit, so it's not one of those must-have things for me just yet in my game. The shape is probably the only thing that is stopping a paddle like this from being my main. And if I line this, first of all, it's a hybrid shape, you guys might be able to tell here. If we line this up, let's see the difference here, right? So the difference, tiny bit shorter, right? But then you lose a lot on the corners here. You see that? That's a lot of loss on the corners. That's tricky for me because when I'm flicking, right, below the net, I like to hang out around over here, okay? In particular, these corners here, as I'm trying to get, right, that's where we're kind of generating spin. We're almost trying to slide the ball through this area here when we're flicking, right? And I'm so used to this, just want to show this here, right? I'm so used to using this area here as I'm flicking the ball from below the net that I kind of need this real estate, especially on the wings here. You know, on the wings here, I kind of need that real estate to kind of hit with. I know the other YouTuber, It's Easy. If you guys don't follow him, by the way, you should. I mean, phenomenal player. He kind of said the same thing, where it's like, hey, like, I like the glider a lot. The only thing is, on the flicks, it's a little bit difficult for him because of the shape. Because same thing, you're just missing real estate here. But putting that aside, what I like about the glider a lot, it has to come down to the fact that let me try to pretty much get rid of the words power and pop, because I feel like sometimes that's not being used properly. Let's go with something like low momentum, medium momentum, and high momentum. So when I say low momentum, I'm talking about shots such as a drop, a dink, a reset, right? These are shots where we are just slowly moving our arms. We're not trying to accelerate, right? We're just trying to put a little bit of pace on it. This paddle, if we could rate it from 1 to 10 in terms of the least to the most power on low momentum shots, this would probably fall between that 4 to 5 range, where it's pretty easy to control. I'm not worried about popping up a dink. I'm not worried about popping up a drop. If I miss a drop, for the most part, it's going to be short on this paddle. The trajectory is pretty low on this paddle when it comes to your dinks. So it's not difficult to keep your dinks down, it's not difficult to keep your resets down, and it's not difficult to keep your drops down. It has that range of 4 to 5 when it comes to power of that low momentum shots, which is nice. Then we move to medium momentum shots, which is something, let's say like a speed up at the net, right? Or maybe a counter, right? So you're in a hand battle and you have time to kind of punch back and swing at that ball, right? Now, I consider this low momentum shots. Maybe even a roll, I would consider some rolls to be low momentum, where maybe in that yellow zone, where you're not taking a massive swing, but you're still taking your paddle back and you're still hitting through it. These are medium momentum shots. That's where I feel like this paddle probably delivers the most power for you, and that is probably due to the fact that it has an aggressive Gen 3 setup for a power paddle, but it comes in super light. This is 111 swing weight. I only have 2 grams on each side here, and then 7 grams around the butt cap. That is it. And this paddle feels super stable to me. So with so little weight on it, and it's a 111 swing weight, this paddle flies very quickly in your hands. And I feel like if you can keep the paddle lightweight, you really have a higher level power paddle within this medium momentum zone. I'd probably put it at an 8 out of 10. I was drilling one of my guys and I was swapping between the Q2 RPM and this one, and he personally told me that I was getting harder counters with the Glider than I was with the Q2, and I honestly thought the same. And that was coming strictly from the fact that this paddle swings super fast in your hands, super stable, and the sweet spot is massive on it. So we have this nice little like medium pop in the low momentum, which makes it easy for us to drop the ball and so forth. But then we have this massive power, in my opinion, in this medium momentum zone, which helps us in these hand battles. And then we have the high momentum shots. High momentum will be things like the serve, the drive, right? These are shots where normally the ball is coming at us weaker. We have time to load up, take a larger swing if some of us do, and really go at that ball. What else would kind of fall into that? Overheads, some punch volleys, right? So if your opponent gives you a put away, right? Hits a bad reset, it's above your shoulder, or maybe you're rolling the ball from over here somewhere, right? These are high momentum shots. The paddle actually goes back to like a 5 out of 10. Almost like, I would probably put it in the control category for high momentum power. Now that is going to come down to personal taste. Some of you might love that, some of you might not. The RPM, this is the V2 for example. This, for high momentum power, is pretty high up there. I'd probably put this one at 8 out of 10. It can hit the ball super hard because it has like a trampoline effect going on. The Agassi, also high momentum, delivers a lot of power to it. The Infernal, high momentum shots, probably like a 9 out of 10, if not a 10 out of 10. The Boomstick is 9 out of 10, not 10 out of 10. This one is at that 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 with this particular setup that I have going on here. In my game, I've personally never really been in a situation where I'm like, I wish I had more power on my put away, because normally speaking, putting the ball away when I'm hitting it from up here already, right, from up here, placement is almost number one thing. I mean, I'm always creating enough power, but placing it, so placing at people's legs, placing it at a particular angle has a lot more value. But what I do like about having this lower power within that high momentum zone is the fact that I can serve bigger without worrying about it going out. I could drive big without worrying about it going out. I could hit rolls from this zone, for example, right? These zones here where it's a little risky to go too heavy. I could actually put pace on it and also not worried about it going out. You'll see some of my rolls in these videos here where I'm actually putting a lot of spin on it. And the reason that's happening is because I can actually accelerate very, very quickly in the zone here because I'm not worried about the ball going out, which is allowing me to accelerate and actually add spin. Normally speaking, I might have to baby rolls from this level, from this zone, because I'm worried about it going out if the paddle is very hot in my hands. But if I know the paddle is not hot, then I could really swing quickly through the zone and add that spin instead of having to rely on power there. So I do like that. I actually like the combination that this paddle gives me, which is like a 5 out of 10 on the low momentum shots, an 8 out of 10 on the medium momentum shots, and then back to like a 5 or 6 out of 10 on the power, on the high momentum shots. Now, for the high momentum shots, you could probably add more weight up here, for example, to boost that power up. But keep in mind, in doing so, you are going to hurt how well this paddle plays in the medium momentum shots because your hands get slower. If this paddle were to lose its swing weight, right? So if you boosted this paddle's swing weight to like 118, in my opinion, I feel like it honestly becomes very similar to a lot of other offerings on the market. It loses its uniqueness. I feel like you've got to keep this paddle light if you want this paddle to stay unique. You keep it light, you really excel at the net then. Hand battles, you're going to excel, and just trust me there. It might seem frustrating with the putaways. You might want more juice there, but you can use that as an opportunity to learn how to like pick the right spots in the meantime to put balls away. The paddle is soft, right? Compared to a lot of foam paddles I've been using, it's soft. One other thing I want to mention here, compared to typical Gen 3 constructions. So the Agassi had this issue where if you ever tried to reset using the bottom section of the paddle, now the Agassi was really bad when it came to this. The ball was super dead down here. Right, I'll try to bounce it on camera. But right down here, the ball had a very bad bounce, right, at the bottom of the paddle. It's just very, very dead. On the glider, the bottom of the paddle, you could even see as I'm kind of bouncing it, right, it has a lot more pop from the bottom of the paddle, okay? That is nice. That creates, quote unquote, a better sweet spot. And why that helps a lot also, not just on the resets, but in the hand battles, which is why, again, the paddle excels, right? If I like to protect a lot of my body, my backhand, right? When players attack your chicken wing side, right? Very often, that's where you're gonna be dealing with balls going there, right? Because you're trying to, right? Let me just turn my body around, square you up with the camera. I'm trying to protect this side of my body, right? Right? I'm trying to protect this, but guess what? This is where I'm more likely to be leading with the bottom of my paddle when I'm trying to protect my body. Which is why foam paddles have been super nice. Foam paddles are very strong at the bottom. A lot of them are. Gen 3 paddles, Gen 2 paddles, Gen 1 paddles have not been strong at the bottom. This Gen 3 paddle is strong at the bottom. It does really well down here. So whether or not you guys want to pick up the glider really comes down to whether or not you're interested in that play characteristic that I told you, right? If you want to have just better hand battles, but you're willing to give up the lower power side of things, that's what it basically comes down to. If you're someone who really just prefers to be able to really put a ball away with ease, this is not going to be it. But if you're like, I'm not that concerned with that part of the game, but I want to have super fast hands and super strong counters and still have an easy way of getting to the net with drops and resets, this is really worth doing it. I'm actually almost jealous of the people that are used to using a hybrid paddle, because then I could truly see how this paddle plays and enjoy it, because I enjoy the way it is. And I'm still shanking balls off the top of the paddle because I'm not used to the shape. So I'm like, wow, if I was just somehow used to playing with a hybrid paddle, then I could truly unlock how it plays, because I could play super aggressive with it, which I enjoy. Plus, I'm now unlocking more spin on some of my rolls than I ever have before, only because I could accelerate with so much more freeness, right? If having to worry about the ball going out. I mean, we sometimes get lost in the sauce where we're using these power paddles, and it's like, it's difficult to accelerate the ball on the roll below the net because you're worried about it going out, but that's not the case here. So all of a sudden I'm like, you know what, I could apply more spin, go for different angles, which is nice. If you have any questions for me, if I missed anything, let me know in the comments below. Like the video if you haven't yet, subscribe if you also haven't and you want to see similar videos in the future. Other than that, enjoy the rest of the gameplay if there's any left, and I'll see you guys out there.